Got a special guest on here today, Ashley Meyer. Um, and we're going to be talking about how you can leverage the holidays um, to connect and interact with your database, your sphere of influence. How to, meet new people and gather more leads into your database. And so since we are heading into the holiday season, it means there's a lot more opportunity to connect with your database and your sphere. It's also an opportunity to meet new people, whether it's by going to holiday parties or, Christmas parades or donation opportunities and just other events like that. And so there's a lot of opportunity, as I mentioned, to kind of leverage these events for your business. And so I've got Ashley on here who's going to talk a little bit more about what she's doing, what has she done, and how is she going to take advantage of some of these events that occur during the holidays to connect with people and gather more leads into her database. So I figured I'd start out, Ashley, if you want to just kind of talk a little bit about yourself, how long have you been in real estate? And just what's your background?
Yeah, sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
so yeah, my name's Ashley Meyer. I have been in the industry since 2005. So I've kind of seen the ups, the downs, all of that. And I've held various roles within that time frame as well. I started as a licensed assistant and kind of moved from there. So um, one thing that I would say has been kind of consistent along the way is community involvement being a huge part of getting your name out there. The thing we're essentially selling is our personality and our what we know about the housing market, but more often than not, it's who they click with that they want to work with. So getting in front of people, at these types of events is really important because they get to know you and they like you, and it makes it that much easier to get the business from them once they're in your database versus just like sending out, a mailer or doing some of those things, which also work, but are a little bit less personal.
hmm Yeah, definitely. So I guess what have you done to really stay engaged with your database, like your current clients during the holidays? Is there anything specific that you've done in the past that has worked?
Yes, so there's different things you can do. One thing like we're doing tonight actually is a client appreciation event, and it doesn't need to be big or expensive or anything like that. We're actually going to the game show battle rooms. So all of the clients that closed with us this year, we invited, and then we're just gonna kind of have a fun evening with them. But just doing little things like um, maybe dropping something off at their house. I've done before where made like a little hot cocoa kit and then just kind of dropped it off on doorsteps and sent them a message like, hey, there's a little something on your doorstep. And then, there's a little tag on it with your information. Just stuff like that where it's little touches. People think it's just they love it because they're not expecting it. It's just super, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Thank you for thinking of us. And then in turn, it has them thinking about you. And you're top of mind for them. So that way, if they're at a holiday party and someone says, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, you're top of mind and they're going to say your name. Um, so just doing those types of things. We've done events at like a Christmas tree farm before, which is pretty inexpensive. um, and that goes over really well too. People love doing that because they can take photos there. You can offer to take a photo for them or whatever. So little stuff like that too, where you again can kind of get in face time with them, but then encourage them to post it on their social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And what do you do to kind of prepare for an event like that? Does it involve, you know, advertising with any marketing materials? Do you have anything when you get there? I know you mentioned like a photo opportunity. Do you hire a photographer? Like what sort of things does that involve when you say like, okay, an event at like a Christmas tree farm?
So, I mean, you can do several things and you can do it all within whatever budget you're working in. There have been years for sure that I haven't had a huge budget. So you just get a little creative. So if you're doing something at a Christmas tree farm, I mean, they want people to come to their farm. So if you call them and say, hey, is it okay if I have, a little event here? I'll just have a table off to the side. Maybe you have some hot cocoa or something. But maybe you give everyone like a $15 voucher or something. I mean, just different things that you can offer. And you could definitely hire a professional photographer, but in the past, I've just offered to take the one I go to has like a cute little sleigh that people can sit in and take pictures on. So I'm just like, hey, why don't I grab some pictures for you guys? And um, you know, they they can use them however they like then. But again, it's just like a face to face interaction, kind of a fun thing. You're not necessarily talking about real estate, but you're top of mind, and they're more apt to tell people about you because you stay engaged with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And do you do a lot of kind of promotions leading up to that? What does that involve to invite them? Is it a phone call? Is it a text? Is it an email? Do you create like a flyer for it? Like, how do you invite
Yeah.
people to something like that?
Usually I do like a Canva, like I create a Canva template for an email and then I send that out and I ask for RSVPs via email. But then I follow that up with a text message. And then as it gets really close, especially the people that say maybe or whatever, I call everybody. So even the people that say yes and just say, looking forward to seeing you. And then the people that say, have you, those kinds of things. So I do three forms of follow up, I guess. So I do a email, the invitation. I do a text message saying, hey, I sent something to your email. We'd love it if you could come. And then I do, when it gets closer to the event, like yesterday, I called everybody and I was just like, hey, really looking forward to seeing you, or hey, we're really going to miss you, but just wanted to check in with you and see how things are going.
Hmm.
So it gives you opportunity to reach out to them and not, you know, feel out of character or out of place. Like you have no real reason to call.
Yeah, that's so true. You have even the people that, RSVP no, that's still a great opportunity to call them regardless, and
Hmm.
follow up and see if they need anything else, if you're not going to be able to see them in person at the event. So I love
Yep.
that idea. And it sounds like it's just more of an authentic touch too. And not just you know, hey, are you looking to buy or sell or know anybody? So
Yep.
yeah, a great opportunity there. So we've talked about, connecting with your current database, and staying in touch with your sphere. But what do you do around the holidays to meet new people and to gather more leads into your database, and connect with other people?
So recently I joined my local chamber of commerce because it's really quite inexpensive. And I've looked at like a lot of the ones in this, the greater Milwaukee area, and they're all like 160 bucks a month to be a part of. They put your information on their website and that kind of thing. But I think the more important thing is they also send you information about all the stuff going on in the community for the upcoming week or couple weeks depending upon the area you're working in. And so you're able to, there's a lot of free events. So they have like a networking event that's coming up in December that's basically you can just go and there's tons of other people from all different um, you know careers and stuff like that you can talk to and get to know and get some FaceTime with. And then what I'm doing this year is actually, and this is a very inexpensive way to do this, for me at least. I called someone that I knew in the area and I just said, hey, I knew they had a building in the area and I was like, would you mind if I had a little setup, in front of your place at the parade? And she was like, no, not at all. So I'm going to have a table. I was just going to get some hot cocoa, maybe some hand warmers. And then just I'm printing out these little like business card size things that will have a QR code on them, and we'll just like, it'll be like, would you like a home evaluation or to talk about the market? And then have the QR code on the pay or on the card. And then that'll take them to a page that they can like fill out to kind of bump into the database basically. And then, it obviously would alert me through my CRM that they've reached out and are, need follow up. So I could then reach out to them. But I think, again, it allows you to kind of get in front of people. I'm providing something that if you've ever been to a Christmas parade, like it's cold most of the time, that I'm hoping people will just flock to out of necessity. And then I'm able to kind of, again, your personality is kind of what you're selling. So they're able to see me and, kind of I can get a little FaceTime with them, and take it from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that idea. And when Ashley and I spoke about this earlier in the week, and she mentioned, setting up at a Christmas parade, I feel like that's the type of event where people can expect to walk away with like little trinkety stuff. Like, I don't know if I've ever left a parade empty-handed. You almost expect to like, okay, get like free sunglasses or like a Frisbee or like, candy and different things like that. And yeah, I definitely think like a Christmas parade, like everyone's, interested in grabbing like a cup of hot cocoa and some hand warmers and just like staying warm and comfortable during the parade. And it's an awesome way to really connect with the people in your community, and just meet new people and get your name out there and your business out there, with those people. So I love that idea, Ashley. Does anyone else, I want to open it up to everyone on the call too. Does anyone else do something similar and have any kind of feedback if you've done something like that in the past, or any other ideas that you guys are kind of planning on doing around the holidays this year? And if not, that's okay. Just thought I'd open it up to people.
Thrive has we're doing it again this year, but last year was our first year hosting a food drive at our neighborhood community center. So kind of calling it like a holiday season of giving food drive. It's free to do. I mean, we host it where we put out like a little hot chocolate bar. So there's like minimal expenses, but then we send out a postcard through command to like the majority of the neighborhood or the surrounding around the community center area. So kind of working towards farming that area, plus just a fun way to give back to the community and stay in front of people. We met a ton of new people last year and are hoping for the same result this year.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, I've heard of a few other agents and teams doing something like that, or, a clothing donation and dropping it off at the office, kind of having like a month-long time frame of people being able to do that. So yeah, that's a great opportunity. Great opportunity to give back to the community as well. And really reach out to people, let them know that you're doing that. Again, kind of going off of what Ashley said, it's an opportunity for you to call people and tell them about the donation drive that you're doing and give them more information directly over the phone. So awesome. I love that idea. Ashley, back to you. So then what's your plan for follow-up? Like, say, post Christmas parade, you've gathered people's information. What's your plan for follow-up? Do you plan on, calling these people directly, like setting up a meeting? Like, what kind of ideas do you have in terms of what that looks like?
So basically what I'm planning to do is I plan to follow up with everyone that I have information for. And I think for me, it's going to depend on their level of interaction, I guess. So kind of what they're looking for, and what they've indicated their time frame looks like, or if they're not at all, just making sure putting them on different drip campaigns within command. I have one that's just kind of like a a touching base campaign that's just checking in and kind of like emails them on holidays or just different things like that, maybe little housing tips and stuff like that. And then, depending upon if they've indicated like we've been considering moving or something, those people obviously I would then kind of say, hey, why don't we get a buyer consult scheduled so that when the new year hits and you're ready to go, like you're really comfortable doing that. You're really well informed about what the process looks like. So I'm kind of a case by case basis, and I know that that's not a, one all for one answer, but that's kind of how I do it. So
Sure, yeah. Do you plan on doing any kind of like social media marketing for the event? Like just saying like, hey, I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna be handing out like hot chocolate and hand warmers, like hope to see you there. Do you kind of plan on doing anything like that or like pre-event marketing for it?
yes, I've actually already called all of the clients that live in the general vicinity that have bought their house from me. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here. I'd love to see you. And, I'm assuming it'll be cold. So stop by and say hey and grab a hand warmer or a hot chocolate or both. And I've gotten a really great response from that. So that's a great way, like just to re-engage those people. But then again, the chamber actually, like if I create a post and post it, the chamber shares it. And that's super helpful, obviously. So yeah, I was doing that, going to create a post probably like a week out and just say like, hey, this is coming up. Not to compete with Thanksgiving because it falls on the day, the weekend after Thanksgiving, where people are traveling and probably not looking at social as much. So that's the game plan there. But yeah, I do a lot of marketing more on social and specific outreach like calling and
Mhm.
things like that more than anything because obviously they're very cost effective and then they're effective. So
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Does anyone do anything with like paid ad campaigns and targeting a specific area? Like if you are doing an event or a donation drive, does anyone do any kind of paid ads where you can then target that specific area? Just to kind of like open it up to, people outside of your database, outside of your sphere. And if not, that's okay. I just like to kind of throw that out there too, because that is an option. Whether you're doing an ad campaign through Facebook directly, or if you're doing it through command, you can choose that geographic area and you can post an ad campaign. So that's also kind of a way to, reach people outside of your database. All right. Ashley, any other kind of tips or tricks of kind of engaging people around the holidays? There's a ton of like holiday parties, whether it's, obviously we have our KW holiday party, but does like your spouse have a holiday party? Like, do you kind of make that an opportunity to, connect with like your spouse's coworkers, or do you have any other like family events? Like, I think one thing too is that a lot of people forget to even talk about their business during like even family holiday parties. Like they maybe don't want to like bring up business like during that. But how do you, gently remind like even your family that like, hey, like this is what I'm doing, like don't forget. Like how do you kind of go about some of those conversations?
for me, well, and this is kind of something we're actually talking about in bold. But the easiest thing is like, hey, what do you do for a living? And then they're obviously going to tell you, and then you can ask a few questions, and then most people are going to ask what you do.
Mhm.
And then when you tell them, they're going to be like, oh, wow, how's the market? How are things going? And then you're able to give them some of the knowledge that you have of the market and like what you've kind of been doing for your clients to, I mean, like when it was competitive, yeah, we've been coming up with creative ideas to get people into houses or whatever, those types of things. But same thing like with family, even I mean, what they do presumably. But just, asking them like, hey Bill, how's the HVAC, business been? Have you had a lot of business, that kind of stuff. And then inevitably they're going to ask you about your business. And so it's just a really gentle way to put that into the conversation. And it usually takes it where where you want it to go. So
yeah, that always makes sense. Yeah, well, that's anything else to add, Ashley? I know, I feel like we've covered like a few of the questions that I wanted to like go through. But I guess it's just there's just in general like a lot of kind of opportunity to reach out to your contacts and do you kind of find yourself like needing contact information like as you are making those phone calls, or like how do you kind of come across like any obstacles like that where like, okay, this person I'm missing like a phone number or an email, or like I don't know where they moved to, or do you kind of find yourself like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to like clean up my database as I'm going through and calling people? Like, have you come across anything like that?
yes, actually. Especially, when you move brokerages, sometimes some of the data doesn't follow. So definitely I use it as an opportunity to reach out, and I always do it around a time that it makes sense. Again, it's not just me calling like, hey, can I get your email address? But it's like, hey, I've been thinking about you guys. What are your plans for the holidays? Whatever. And then you can be like, oh, you know what? I was just looking at my, records here, and I don't actually have your email. Would you mind, giving me that so I can whatever you think value will be to them. And most people, obviously, after you've talked to them for a while, aren't going to be like, well, no. They'll give it to you. They'll be like, oh, totally, here it is. So that's usually what I do to get what I need, if I'm missing something in my database. And when it slows down around this time each year is when I'm actually already trying to kind of clean up the database anyway. So it just falls in the perfect timeline. The other thing I will mention that I did in a previous year that I had pretty good success with is I sent out a postcard to my neighborhood, and I made it look more like a letter so that people were more intrigued to read it. So it wasn't just like a picture of a house on the front, my face on the front, and like your local realtor. It was kind of a heartfelt letter, letter just saying like, hey, I love our neighborhood, whatever. Happy, hope you have happy holidays. Um, you know, I love our neighborhood. I'm sure you do too. Like if you've ever, if you've been thinking of selling, no one knows it better, that kind of thing. And I tried to make it look not like a postcard. And I actually got a very good response from that. And like one of the clients I have, he's buying several things, and he lives like a street over from me, and I had no idea he was there. Obviously. So he's a continual buyer, and I've had other, several other neighbors kind of reach out and be like, I had no idea, that's so great, too. So that kind of thing is being a little creative in that department, and not just doing what everyone else is sending out is super helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure it stood out against, some of the other holiday themed like mailers that people were getting.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for Ashley. Does anyone on the call want to ask Ashley anything? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. So you guys, the only other thing that I wanted to kind of go through today, so I did put together a specific SMART plan for each of the holidays, starting with Veterans Day, which is this Saturday. So it's just a really simple, like one-step email. So if you guys are just looking for something to send like around the holidays, like these are something just super simple that you can schedule and send out to the people that you have in your database that you have email addresses for. And I think to Ashley's point too, it's like, a phone call, a text message is always going to be a lot more personal. But if you do have, contacts in your database where like you may not know them very well, or more, maybe if they're just a lead that you captured from Facebook or, any other lead source out there. It's something that where you can send out, and it's just another touch. So I figured I just kind of walk through how you can find those in the Smart Plan library and how you can send those out. So I'm going to just go through how to do that, and you guys feel free to stop me with any questions, if you have any. But this is also, kind of just to show you guys where you can find our KW Milwaukee Smart Plan library. So this is something that I've talked about on team meetings. You'll see me post on Facebook, anytime we have new content, that is more local to. Sorry again. Bad thing about having a Mac where you get phone calls on your computer. But if you want to kind of, share some different, more local things, that is the whole point of the Smart Plans that we create. So 1 second while I find my screen. There it is. Can everyone see my command? I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes.
Okay. So when you're in command and you click into Smart Plans, which is the 4th icon down, and if you click into the library, and you can either, you'll see here, you can search by Smart Plan name, or you can also click that and you can change that to choose author name. So if you search for my name under author name, you'll find everything. Otherwise, everything that I've created, I make sure to include KW Milwaukee in the Smart Plan name so that it's searchable. So if you go in here and you type in KW Milwaukee and click search, so that's going to pull up everything that I've created. And so typically how it works, anything new is at the very bottom. So if you just scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see the most recent content, the most recent Smart Plans. So for example, if you're looking for, if you want to send something out during Veterans Day this Saturday, there is a Veterans Day 2023 email in here. But you'll also see like Christmas tree farms, a lot of those are opening up in the next couple of weeks here. Winterize your home. That's something that you can send out now or in the next month or two, just to prepare for the winter months. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's. Those are all in here now. And again, they're just a one-step email, and you can schedule those right now so that you don't even have to think about it in the next couple of months. You can just have those scheduled and they're going to send out on whatever day you have them scheduled for. So for example, if you wanted to send out Veterans Day, all you're going to do is click on Add Smart Plan. And then you can click Download. So what that does, and it's going to say, I already have this in my library because I created it. But once you hit Download, that's going to show up under this My Smart Plans tab. So anything that you added from the library, or if you created it yourself, you're going to see that under this tab here. And so this is one that I created a little while ago. So let me scroll down here and find it. So here's the Veterans Day 2023. If you wanted to make any edits, if you wanted to view it, preview it, send yourself a test email, over here on the right-hand side under Actions, you can click on Edit. And so that's going to open up that email. You can also change the subject line. And now if you didn't want to make any changes, you don't have to. This is really just for you to preview it. If you do want to personalize it a little bit, you certainly can. So here's that subject line. You're going to see that reply to email. That should be your email in there. That should just default. So again, you can edit that subject line right here. And here's that email type. You'll notice that there's a little thumbnail here with a little bit of a preview. But if you click the three dots here, that's where you can edit the design, preview design. If you really wanted to, you could select a new design or remove design. But I'm going to go ahead and click on edit design. There's going to be a little message here. Just say got it. So that's going to open up the email editor, but it's going to allow you to view exactly what that email is going to look like. So we've got an image here. We've got some text. And then down here, this is going to auto-populate with all of your marketing profile information, your download, your app, your unique link, all of that there. So I usually recommend anytime that you're going to send out an email through command, up here where it says options, you can send a test email. And that's going to allow you just to be able to see exactly how that email is going to pull into your inbox and how it's going to show for everyone that you send it to. But you also have the option up here with this little eyeball icon to preview. So here's that email. It's also going to show you how your marketing profile is going to pull in here. So you just want to ensure that everything's pulling in accurate. If you notice your phone number is incorrect, or your headshot needs to be updated, you can go into your marketing profile and update all of that information, and that's going to pull in then. And then once you're satisfied with that, you can hit save. And again, if you wanted to edit this text, if you just double click in there, it's going to pull up the edit text box and where you can make those edits. If you are making any edits to this, just make sure to hit this done button. That's essentially the save button when you are editing an email in command. Otherwise, I'm just going to hit save and exit out of here. It's going to ask you again, just save changes for good measure. And there we go. So from this screen, you can add contacts to receive this. So I can click on add contacts here. It's going to pull in my database. I can filter by tags. Otherwise, I can select all. You'll notice that it only shows 1 through 20 in here, and you kind of have to scroll through 20 at a time. So I don't love to add contacts to a smart plan from this screen. What I find the easiest is to actually do this from your contacts applet. So I'm going to click back into contacts here. So this is going to pull up my entire database. Don't mind my computer. Our Wi-Fi has been a little slow and toasted today. So it's going to pull up my contacts. And because you can view up to 500 contacts at a time, and I think I have just under that, I can do just one bulk action, add to smart plan. So I'm showing all contacts 1 through 457. So what I can do is check off this very first box here. That's going to select all. And then I have the select bulk action drop-down menu. So I can select that. Now I have add to smart plan as an option. So I can click that. And then I'm going to find my smart plan that I want to send out or schedule. So I'm going to find Veterans Day. Here it is. So I'm going to select that. It's going to say any contacts that I have missing emails. I'm just going to remove contacts with errors. That's going to say I've got 447 contacts. I can either send that out now or I can schedule it. So maybe I want to schedule this for the day of the holiday, which is Saturday, the 11th. So I'm scheduling that out on the 11th. Typically these emails send out in the morning, and then you can hit confirm. So I've got all of our rosters in here. I'm not going to send you all an email, but You just hit confirm and that's it. Then that email will be scheduled to send out on Saturday, the 11th. And so you can essentially do that for every holiday smart plan if you choose to. That way, you know that those are scheduled to send and you don't have to do anything on that day. So it's just a good opportunity to kind of just have that planned out, and that system is in place and you're good to go. You have that touch for that holiday. And then you can kind of just focus on more of those personalized phone calls, text messages, other maybe client events that you're doing, and following up with some of those. So that's it, you guys. Does anyone have any questions on that? Should be pretty straightforward. Just know that if you run into any issues with Command, with Smart Plan, sending out emails, you can always reach out to myself or Kathleen. All right, but otherwise, that's all I have for training today. Thank you guys so much for jumping on today. Next week, we're kind of going to do something similar, talking a little bit more about social media marketing during the holidays, but we'll kind of reconvene then.